I've been investigating your to-do list, and honestly, I found the culprit. You see, you're working 40 hours a week, but only 4 of them actually matter for your next promotion. Let's look at the evidence, right? You sit down at your desk, open your laptop, and immediately dive into a sea of Slack pings, unread emails, and endless administrative busywork. By 5 p.m., you're exhausted. You feel like you've run a marathon. But when you look back at your day, what did you actually achieve? I've seen this profile before. I call it the productive pretender. You weren't lazy, far from it. I mean, you're working harder than anyone else in the office, but you're stuck in a loop of low-impact movement. It's a sophisticated defensive maneuver performed by your own subconscious, you see? I'm going to show you exactly how your brain is sabotaging your career by hiding behind these safe tasks. You see, your brain is wired for survival, not necessarily for a massive year-end bonus. Deep, needle-moving work is cognitively expensive and emotionally risky. It carries the threat of failure and the weight of high expectations, right? Slightly sarcastic. So your mind offers you a bribe, a hit of cheap dopamine for clearing your inbox instead of writing that strategic proposal. It's a classic case of smoke and mirrors. You feel productive, so you don't realize you're actually standing still. But we're closing the file on that behavior today. We're going to perform a forensic audit on your schedule. By the end of this case, we're going to identify the 2 specific high-value suspects that will actually move the needle for your growth. I'm going to teach you how to separate the vital few from the trivial many, so you can stop being a victim of your own calendar and start engineering the career you actually want. Let's look at the first piece of evidence, the Pareto principle, reimagined as a psychological interrogation. Welcome to the evidence room. I want you to take a really close look at your last 5 workdays. If we were to treat your calendar like a crime scene, well, what would the forensic evidence actually tell us? You're logging 40, 50, maybe 60 hours a week. You know the drill. You're hitting the pillow every night feeling absolutely drained, yet, curiously, your primary KPI hasn't moved in months. This is what I call the busyness trap. It's a sophisticated form of psychological camouflage, right? You see, your brain absolutely loves the hit of dopamine it gets from clearing a notification or answering those low-stakes emails. It feels like progress. It looks like achievement. But in reality, it's just noise. We've been conditioned to believe that exhaustion is some kind of status symbol, a badge of honor that proves we're working hard. But let's look closer at the clues. That 3-hour deep dive into researching a new software you don't actually need? That's not productivity. I mean, that's just procrastination in a suit and tie. We hide in the safe tasks, the ones that are comfortable and easy to check off, because the 2 tasks that actually move the needle are usually the ones that scare us. They involve high-level focus, personal risk, and honestly, the possibility of failure.
By staying busy with the trivial many, you're essentially committing career malpractice. You're robbing your future self of the success you deserve by burying your talent in a mountain of administrative rubble. Most professionals, they miss this pattern until they're 5 years down the line, wondering why their peers are soaring while they're still grinding in the exact same spot. The evidence is clear. Your current schedule isn't designed for growth, it's designed for maintenance. And maintenance does not lead to a breakthrough. But there's a specific psychological reason why your brain keeps dragging you back into the weeds of your to-do list, even when you know better, right? There's a hidden motive behind your own self-sabotage, and the identity of this internal suspect is going to change everything you thought you knew about your work ethic. Well, let's look at the crime scene of your typical Monday morning. You sit down, coffee in hand, ready to conquer the world, right? But instead of tackling that high-stakes project, the one that could actually change the trajectory of your career, you spend 2 hours clearing the deck. Slightly dismissive. You're answering non-urgent emails, color-coding your calendar, and organizing your desktop folders. On the surface, you look like a high performer. But as your investigator in this process, I have to tell you, we found a hidden motive. I call this the safe busy defense mechanism. You see, your brain is a master of deception. It knows that the 20% of tasks, those heavy hitters, come with a massive psychological price tag. The risk of failure. If you finally launch that initiative or write that high-level proposal and it flops, well, it's a direct hit to your ego. But if you're too busy with the small stuff to ever get to the big stuff, you have a perfect alibi. You weren't failing, you're just stretched too thin. When I look at your neurobiology, the reason for this sabotage becomes clear. Your amygdala, the brain's ancient alarm system, doesn't see a career-moving task as an opportunity. It sees it as a threat. These high-impact tasks trigger your imposter syndrome and the fear of being judged. To protect you from that discomfort, your brain diverts your energy toward the trivial 80%. Every time you check off a minor, easy task, your brain rewards you with a tiny hit of dopamine. It feels good. It feels productive, right? But it's a counterfeit win. You are effectively bribing yourself to stay small. You're choosing the comfort of the clutter to avoid the consequence of real growth. It's a sophisticated form of self-sabotage that disguises itself as a grind mentality. You're not lazy. You're actually working incredibly hard to stay exactly where you are. Your brain is choosing the safety of the shallow end because it's terrified of what happens when you finally dive into the deep water of your true potential. But identifying the safe busy trap is only the first step of our interrogation. To truly break this cycle, we have to look at the specific psychological fingerprints these trivial tasks leave behind, and why your brain is so addicted to the evidence of its own stagnation. Because once you see how the trap is built, you'll realize that the safety you're feeling is actually the most dangerous place for your career to be. And the way we're going to dismantle that trap starts with a technique that most people are, too afraid to even try.
All right, I need you to step into the observation room. We're going to run a forensic audit on your last 168 hours. The total picture. Open your calendar, pull up your sent emails, and really look at your task manager. I want you to list every single thing you did last week. Don't leave anything out. Every quick sync, every spreadsheet update, and every hour you spent researching that was, actually just aimless scrolling. This is our evidence board, right? And right now, it's cluttered with noise. Now, we bring them under the interrogation lamp. One by one, I want you to look at these tasks and ask yourself a cold, analytical question. If I only did this one task and absolutely nothing else all week, would my boss or my client still be impressed? Be honest with yourself here. Most of your tasks will fold immediately. They are decoys. They provide the illusion of productivity while contributing, frankly, nothing to the bottom line. But as you sift through the fluff, you'll find them. The high-value suspects. These are the two tasks, and usually only two, that are directly linked to your primary KPI or the actual revenue of your company. These are the needle movers that your career survival actually depends on. Once you've identified these suspects, we're instituting a 90-minute lockdown. This is non-negotiable. I want you to schedule the first 90 minutes of your workday for these two tasks and these two tasks only. You do this before you even think about opening your even evidence locker. You do this before you check your Slack notifications or get pulled into someone else's emergency. By isolating these high-value tasks when your cognitive energy is at its peak, you aren't just working, you're reclaiming the trajectory of your career. But identifying the suspects is only the first step in solving this case. There's a reason you've been letting these trivial tasks steal your time for so long, and it isn't just a bad habit. You see, there is a psychological double agent working inside your own mind. Someone who is actively sabotaging your focus to keep you feeling safe in the shallow end of the pool. And if we don't unmask this in-tool saboteur next, well, no amount of auditing will ever be enough to keep you from falling back into the trap. The verdict is finally in, and the evidence? Well, it's undeniable. I've shown you the crime scene. The cluttered calendar and those endless piercing notifications. And I've unmasked the suspects. I'm talking about those low-value tasks that have been masquerading as high-stakes priorities. The investigation is complete, but now comes the most difficult part of the entire process. You see, I've realized that once you stop hiding behind your inbox, that's when the real work begins. The truth is, being busy is often just a highly effective disguise for fear, right? It's a defensive maneuver. By obsessing over the 80% of tasks that don't actually matter, you're creating a perfect alibi for why you haven't tackled the 20% that truly scares you. The work that has the power to change your life.
So the question I have for you isn't whether you have enough time in the day. It's whether you have the courage to stop being busy. It's about making the executive decision to prioritize impact over activity. I want you to comment "audited" below if you're committing to your first 90-minute lockdown tomorrow. No phone, no emails, just pure focus on the tasks we identified today. If you're ready to stop being a victim of your own calendar and start becoming the lead investigator of your own success, then subscribe to Power of Mindset. I'll be here to help you decode the psychological patterns that hold you back and build the systems that move you forward. The case is closed for now, but your work? Well, it's just beginning. I'll see you in the next analysis.